Heyo, and welcome back to the letter. We are still playing as Mirianne and Luke. We just made it to the Wright's mansion. We're talking about redesigning it. We had a conversation with Isabella, and Mirianne's kind of mean. But let's continue. There has been a crash. I nearly spilled my tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. What should I do then? Maybe somebody's hurt? I mean, it's not really our business. But I kind of want to choose an interesting choice once in a while. Check it out. The crash came from the hallway and I really shouldn't be snooping about. There's just concern, yeah? Concern that urges me to check it out. Sneaking a glance at the butler, I consider sneaking off, but...
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
He barely looks my way before pointing a spatula towards the hallway. It's a good excuse as any. And if I'm caught lingering longer than I should, I could just excuse myself and say that I wasn't sure which door led to where. Oh, this was probably a bad choice. Still looking into the hallway reveals nothing. I should have saved. Still looking into the hallway reveals nothing. I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There are several doors for not only the toilet, but also presumably rooms for their butler and other members of staff. As I stand there, however, something feels definitely out of place. One of the doors, the nearest within my reach, stands ajar, and from inside, a light flickers incessantly. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing, but the thought of it in a place so well taken care of seems odd. Off. I think that maybe this is where the crash came from. I have my hand on the keyboard for the ghosts. Inside, I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe one of the help in a hurry to get out of the room knocked over this in the process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air, and a man's tiny voice interrupts the silence.
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
Why am I still standing here?
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
Is that her friend that she was talking about? It seems familiar, doesn't it?
Authorities are investigating the possibility of foul play.
Did you murder someone, Mirianne? Like, I've heard it before.
Reporting from St. Samthins, Shane McLaughlin of Galway Bay, AM.
What the?
Hello! I recoil backing away from whatever that was. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet and wait for the pain of falling flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back and see a smug smile of, well, guess who?
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Of course, I knew exactly who that voice belongs to. It just have to be him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job? That would be something.
But...
Wouldn't dream of it, whiskey. You're allowed to be if you wanted, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
Really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meeting were not savoury or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. Nothing came of it after all.
It's no trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies, being a great catch myself.
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps, but I wouldn't know. I don't play baseball. Mint.
Right. Of course you don't.
I can't help but chuckle at my little joke, but it looks like it completely went over his head. If he had understood it, I guess he would have been inappropriate. He is my client after all. Speaking of which, where's Mrs. Wright? Whatever little camaraderie I had with whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he's on his own. Mrs. Wright still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me. Can't I just chat with a good friend?
We're not friends.
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends.
Egypts.
And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
Well, he's done it a million times before, so don't be surprised. You're not the only one, sweetie. You're not the only one. You're not special. It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
Did I ruin our relationship? Yep, it went down. The dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken as a lively voice calls out from the loft.
Mirianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. These high-end clients sure like to be fashionably late in their own home. I'm used to it though, much like I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Besides, berating or correcting my client would be extremely impolite, and Mirianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling. You know, you could have woken me up as well. Were you showing Mirianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
I'm more worried about the way she stares at me judging. Such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. Just seeing Miss Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again. See her again, when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me that way. I could just feel my hands tremble.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Mirianne?
Yes, of course.
Miriam.
And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it's too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of coated cream, fruit, syrup, jam, and other spreads were laid out next to them, making a colourful arrangement. Oh, I love fruit. There's a lot of food in this game. If it was brunch with friends, I would gladly help myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancake and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects, do you, Mirianne?
No.
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it.
Yeah.
First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in.
That witch? You know that witch you impregnated.
We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Have movie parties?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
Of all places? That would be weird, like kitchen. And then the dining area. Maybe if you made this? I don't know, that'd be weird.
What about that room, right there, in the northwest corner?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again.
You play piano?
Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Mirianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
No. You're actually kind of cute in that moment.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing piano? I can't imagine it, neither can I. But the earnest way in which Miss Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Mirianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theatre, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Mirianne?
I don't think she wants to get involved. Well, I guess this is deciding if you side with, I cannot remember her freaking name, or Luke. Because I know, because like I think there's a route where, because she supposedly looks like someone she knows, so I think Miriam is bi, so I think she'll go either way depending on how you play. I mean, because you bought this house for him, which was stupid, and then you're just a selfish piece of shit. Because like there should be compromise, because all she wants was the one room. And then, I don't want to side with him. But she's all ready for Zach. I really wish they didn't look at me like that. This is their decision to make. But if they want to ask for a professional point of view, I'll be happy to give my 2 cents.
You can still have a garage.
See, Mirianne agrees with me. Thank you.
But the structural integrity of the mansion might be at risk if we try to turn the dining hall or any of the rooms into a garage. Taking down one of the exterior walls might hit one of the support beams. And with a mansion that old, I'd rather not risk it, especially without closer inspection. There's always compromise, of course.
I suppose that's better than nothing. Better than flat out saying no.
Mrs. Wright does have a point. There's plenty of space for a garage outside of the mansion itself.
Yep.
If you'd like a covered parking space, we can arrange something on the grounds instead.
Then we better go there. I want to see where we can build a garage.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now.
Yep.
We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
Yes, and see all the ghosts. It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding the Emigrant Mansion in their Royce is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them starting at each other at any time. Nobody is saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think he might start. But instead he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. This picture does not make the mansion look very large. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out the car and up to the mansion meant the end of the uncomfortable ride, and I could finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in wonder every time I see it as well. Miss Wright moves towards the front door, Keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, yo, Hans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
You are such an asshole. Someday I'd like to ask how Johannes can even stand to tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. You and I are a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. Or at least I'll only be working with him during the duration of the project. He works with him every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy through the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape. And the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with the air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. Like, do you even like her? Like, why do you cheat on her constantly? Why? This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there is little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them.
Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Mrs. Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, at least. What next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs.
Oh no.
You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
Whenever she goes without even asking if I need her here, I must to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of an interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Miss Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with whiskey. I have to look through the place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Which floor should I go first? Check the ground floor, check the first floor. If I might just do like a second playthrough just to see Mirianne and whatever her fucking name is kind of like plotline together, because I feel like it might be like interesting. But I am kind of curious about Luke because I don't know, he's weird, and I feel like there's going to be some reason to his douchiness. Because I've already committed Zach to the other person. Alright, just because there's one troublesome client shouldn't mean I'll let him get the way of my work. The parlor is my first destination. Mostly because I figured Mr. Wright is hiding down in the wine cellar making plans there. I'm going to bump into him sooner or later. I'd rather make it later. Much, much later. The place upon closer inspection is in good shape. I don't doubt this place was done with the most care, considering it would be one of the first rooms visitors would be seeing during the open house. There's a stain on the carpet, most likely by one of the guests at the time, but it isn't anything a good cleaning can't get rid of. Next is the music room, or at least that's the plan.
Locked? Oh, come on now.
I rattle the doorknob again, harder this time, to double check and even give it a good bunch to see if it isn't a problem with the door itself. But no, definitely locked. That's weird, considering the rest of the rooms aren't. It could just be one, though, and I can try the other door through the ballroom if I really want to get in. That's when I hear it. The sound of a piano. Though it's just plays of one note over and over again. Makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand, and I back away from the door. Though I wasn't exactly the superstitious sort, what am I going to do? The room is locked. I can just go back to it later, maybe see if I can go through the ballroom and... The music room door opens, and who else but Luke stands by the doorway. He looks a lot like a cat that ate a canary, and I didn't appreciate the way his eyes linger on me.
Isn't it common sense that locked doors mean someone wants a bit of privacy? You didn't try to break the door down.
You were trying to play piano.
Or did you just want to see me again that badly without the misses?
Bah!
I don't see why you would, though, Mint. Nothing really happened between us.
Why are you being weird?
Well, I wasn't looking for whiskey. I was just going around to do my inspection. Thought it needed a push, just in case the door was stuck and actually needed repairs.
So you really are some fancy interior designer, huh? Had you told me you were one, I would have called you a piss taker. I figured you'd be, I don't know, an assistant going for a drink after a week with a tosser of a boss.
Are you drunk already?
I'm just glad you thought me any sort of professional with how ossified I was. I must have not looked the part, so I understand your surprise.
He didn't offer a witty retort, and he grows quiet for a moment.
At first glance, Hannah didn't look like
Hannah.
some fancy finance manager when I first met her either. She was the pretty daughter of this rich, powerful man. When she was introduced, they told me that she was not there as the man's daughter, but as a part of management. I thought it dubious. All the beautiful women I knew before her, They use their looks to get what they want. And there she was, with all that she could ever need in life. And yet she works hard to earn her keep.
It sounds like you admire her.
Hearing that, I too can't help but feel admiration for Mrs. Royd.
You enjoy your job, don't you, Mint?
It helps me earn my keep, as you would put it. A bit strange to say out loud, but it gives me purpose as well.
Do you think then that, maybe, Hana would want to go back to being a working person?
Taken aback by his question, I wait for further clarification. What makes him ask this? And why me, of all people, right? But when I see that no explanation is coming, I think... Ooh, I don't know. I think you should ask your wife.
Shouldn't you be asking her this? Isn't her opinion much more important than that of someone you just met in a pub a few nights ago?
You're a woman and I figured you might know more. I mean, people are always saying that women are fulfilled by having husbands and having a good home. But then, I see ones like you who look happy having jobs. Maybe she's like you, and having a job would be better for her.
Just because I'm a woman? You do know we don't all think the same way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm not married or anything, but this shouldn't be a complicated matter. She's your wife for how many years? Talk to her, ask her what she wants. Don't you guys talk during supper or something?
That gets him thinking. Or at least it looks like it does.
Well, I should let you get back to work. Thanks for talking with me, I suppose.
Right.
So are you actually like trying to be a husband? I don't know.
But anything goes awry if you take my advice, just remember that I'm not some marriage counselor. So take it with a grain of salt.
My marriage goes down the shitter, I'll sue you. Noted.
Wait, that's not...
Too late. He takes a step back to the music room and shuts the door, and leaves me looking there gobsmacked. He wasn't serious, was he? That man. I don't understand him at all. One moment he's this huge arse, and then he's this person the next.
Odd guy. Still needs a good arse kicking if you ask me.
Okay, so forget about going into the music room then. That's fine. He'll have to go out there sooner or later. In the meantime, I can go around and check the rest of the house. All my worries fade away when I step into the ballroom. But this video will also have to fade away because I am out of time. And we will be continuing next time. I don't know what direction I'm going. Luke is weird. I still hate him. I don't want this game to make me like him or feel bad for him in any way, but we'll see. But thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I post, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!